Anyway, good morning and welcome to all of you. We have quite a large group of people who will be joining today. Hopefully they'll pop in very soon, but welcome to those of you who are here. It's lovely to see you. Hopefully you saw in the classroom that we will start with a bit of a practice this morning, nothing strenuous. I will honor that it is morning for most of us, not all of us. Some of you are East Coast, some of you are in Europe, and it's like way late for you already, and and I know at least one of you, it's even earlier than it is for the rest of us, so it will be a gentle practice, but do gather up anything that you might need for a practice. It's not going to be prop heavy, but it's always nice to have a blanket handy just in case, a couple of blocks if you don't have blocks. Paper towels will do, just put a rubber band around them so they don't unfurl, and then use them upright. They are actually perfect height to serve as a yoga block substitute. A sticky mat, if you have one. Maybe a bolster, if you like a bolster in Shavasana, or even a foam roller for under the knees, those kinds of things. Hopefully all of you have a seasoned enough practice that you have a sense of what you like around you to sort of feel settled into your yoga mat. So this is a good time to gather up those things. And as people are popping in, I'll just keep making a few introductory comments. We are a large group. We will do some introductions, but we will do all of that after the practice. So we're going to start off together with the practice, then from the practice we will transition into a bit of a quick debrief in the large group, and then we'll break into small groups for more intimate introductions and maybe a bit more debrief of the practice if that's necessary. And then we'll come all back together in the large group for some didactics, and then back into small groups and kind of back and forth all day. Like that, there will be a lot of small group work. The very first small group will be one configuration of small groups, and then after that, once we start getting into the actual exercises that have to do with mental health, I'm going to break you into the same small groups for the rest of the day, because you will have work that will sort of build on itself, so you kind of need to be with the same folks. So just be aware of that, that you'll have your same group starting with the second time that we configure small groups. So you'll have an opportunity, even though this is a large group, to work a little bit more intimately in the small groups. So that's kind of how the day will unfold each time across all 4 Sundays. With more and more actual mat work and that sort of thing, whether that's asana or pranayama or pratyahara or dharana or dhyana, as we go into weeks 2, 3, and 4. So today there'll be a little bit more time at the screen and less time on the mat, but that will change. So just as an introduction, giving a few more people a chance to show up. So any questions before we get started with a practice? I'm seeing some head shakes, no, so all righty. Well, then let's go ahead and get started with the practice. So in the integrated holistic yoga tradition, we always start with an opening centering that invites us to arrive in all of our koshas. And so that is where we will start the practice. So for you to come into the practice, you have always choices and options, and we always encourage variations and adaptations that serve you. I do invite you to find either a seat or a lying down position. So this is your choice. You could make yourself comfortable on the mat. You could be seated on the floor. You could even be seated on a chair if that serves you better this morning. And I invite you to be very deliberate about that, to not just move into a particular shape out of habit, but to move with some discernment into a shape, and then really figure out how you would like to support your body so that your spine can be in its natural curves, that you can feel a sense of grounding, as well as a sense of spaciousness, but also stability, whether you're seated or lying down. And so props will serve you here. You might see I'm sitting on my zafu to lift the hips up enough so that my knees are lower than the hips and my spine is in its natural curve. So I invite you to make those same investigations in your own body and then to settle yourself in to your chosen position. And also, as you settle yourself into either your seat or your lying down position, I invite you to make a discerning choice about how you might like to place your eyes starting out. So maybe they are closed, maybe they're open, maybe they're at half mast. Maybe you have a soft gaze somewhere ahead of you. Again, making a conscious choice based on this moment, this space, perhaps even this community. And then giving yourself the grace to change your mind about your eye placement if it turns out that you picked something that doesn't end up serving you in the moment. You might also take a moment to tune in to see how you would like to place your hands. How you place your hands might signal something to your nervous system. For example, turning the hands, the palms down, might signal a sense of grounding, a sense of arriving. Palms up may be more of a signal for inspiration, receptiveness. Palms at the heart might signal that you're trying to move inward. And so just ponder how you might like to place your hands. Again, perhaps transcending habit here and really checking in with yourself in this moment as you settle yourself in. And then please know that you can always move and shift during this opening practice. Simply do so with awareness, with mindful presence. So if you do have to shift your body, do it with presence. Take care of yourself, take care of your needs, and then come back to the opening centering. So I invite you truly to arrive now in this moment, in this thing we call the present. This moment between the past and the future. This moment that can be so many things. It can be a vantage point into your past. It can be a vantage point for planning your future. It could be more like a bridge between the past and the present. It could be a turning point. But what it always is a meeting point of past, present, and future. However you sit or lie here in your opening centering today has been profoundly affected by the past. And how this present moment will unfold for you may profoundly affect how you will live your future. And so can you arrive in this present moment with the awe that it deserves? A point in time, a point in space, a point in your life that integrates, that includes everything, all of your experiences up to this point. Nothing is ever left behind. And yet nothing that comes with you needs to remain a burden forever or a joy forever. This is your choice point in the present moment. Allow yourself to arrive as you perhaps begin to tune into, very deliberately, your physical being, your body. Noticing sensations from within this physical layer of your experience. There's no need to reach out for those sensations, to grasp for them, or to cling to certain ones. And there's no need to block anything. Simply allow what is to arrive in your awareness right here in this present moment. Allowing sensation to reach your conscious experience of it. And as these inner physical sensations unfold on the screen of your awareness, can you simply meet them with an open heart and an open mind? Perhaps with appreciation, with gratitude for their presence, regardless of whether they are pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Allowing yourself to be with whatever is happening in your body right here, right now. If you would like to label sensations, that's certainly up to you. And yet there is no need to do so. You could simply be with your sensations, fully receptive to whatever is happening in your body. And holding your body in this compassionate awareness, gently invite your attention to shift to your breath, to your vitality, to the energy you are bringing with you into this present moment. Again, not going out searching for something, not blocking anything, not worrying about what might show up, but simply opening your heart to how vitality, how life may be pulsing through you in this moment, perhaps as represented by your breath, or perhaps represented by something more subtle, more of an experience of life force or vitality pulsing through you in this moment. Can you meet your energy, your vitality, your breath with an awakened heart, with no intention to change anything, with no need to label it, though it is fine if that emerges for you, with no expectation about how it should or should not unfold. This is the vitality of this moment, yes, deeply affected by all moments of your past, and nevertheless, the energy that you are sitting with right here, right now. The breath that is moving through you right here, right now. Whatever inhalation you are breathing in right now, there will never be another inhalation like it. Whatever exhalation you are breathing out now, there will never be another one that's identical. Can you be kind and compassionate with your vitality just as it is in this moment, whether this is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? And then holding body and vitality in compassionate awareness, can you gently shift your attention to notice your mind state in this moment? The mind state being more the process or the state of your mind right now, not so much the content, but the movement in the mind, perhaps the speed of the movement. Maybe there's chaos, or maybe there is a sense of dullness, or maybe a bit of distraction, or maybe there's focus or complete clarity. It's not so important, again, to label that mind state, but simply to notice, how is your mind showing up as a process? This too is profoundly affected by your past, by prior causes and conditions, and utterly unique in this moment. Even right now, as you tune into your mind state with an awakened heart, the mind state from a moment ago may already be gone. It may already have transformed. You're already the future of that mind state from a few moments ago. And yet you are profoundly in the present. Can you be aware of the unfolding of your mind as you are using your mind to watch itself? And perhaps you are beginning to get an inkling too now also of the contents of your mind, beyond the process, beyond that state of mind. What thoughts or stories are you bringing with you this morning into this moment? Perhaps there are concrete verbal stories and labeled emotions, or maybe there is more of a felt sense, even of your thoughts and emotions. Can you give yourself permission simply to be with what's there, to even feel into your mind and its contents? And to notice that here too, the past has a deep role in having created the thoughts and emotions that are present. And yet in this present moment, you still have choice. Can you take another few moments to watch this evolution, this transformation that is always happening in your mind? As soon as one thought comes, it goes. As soon as one emotion evolves, it transforms. Can you hold your body, your breath, and your mind in compassionate awareness as you allow yourself to fully take in the miracle that is your wise self, your deeper intelligence that can watch and understand all of this unfolding, that can situate your body, your breath, your mind in the past, in the present, and in the future, that can situate your body, your breath, your mind in your greater biopsychosociocultural context, the community that helped shape them, the community that is being shaped by your body, your breath, your mind, and your wisdom. Can you marvel at that wise, intuitive, intelligent part of you that sometimes is a little bit dormant, a little bit in the background as we're bounced around by experiences and sensations in body, breath, and mind, and that nevertheless is always there for us when we decide to become aware of it, to tune into that wise, intelligent layer, to make discerning choices, to bring to bear compassion, loving kindness, joy, and equanimity, to perhaps transform. How we have arrived here, we can't change, but we can transform how we move on from here. How we have arrived here, we can't change, but we can transform how we view how we arrived here. Our deeper inner intelligence helps us with all of this. It situates us in a greater web of life. It can see our own evolution from the moment of birth to the present moment. And it can move us forward from here on out with discernment, with choice, with the capacity to pick a different path than the one we've been on, or to recommit to the trail we've already forged. This deeper connection that we have to a greater web of life also opens the door for our fifth layer of experience as human beings, which is the capacity to feel joy, to feel gratitude, to feel part of something greater, to recognize that there is meaning and purpose, even as there is impermanence and constant transformation and evolution. And our yoga practice is a beautiful way for us to water that seed of joy, to perhaps someday help it to sprout, to grow, to flower, to fruit. And so can you, in this moment, perhaps recommit yourself to the practice of yoga, this practice of honing our mind, our intelligence, our wisdom, our compassion, our joy, our equanimity. To commit to being in the world with a deep way of being, as we might say in Western terms, mentally healthy. Clear about who we are in our interactions with people. Capable to recognize our own emotions and sensations and impulses and wisdoms. Able to self-regulate, to regulate emotionally, to co-regulate, to be in community, to commit ourselves to a greater meaning and a greater purpose. Having tuned into all of these 5 layers of our human experience, if you would like, you might choose to place your hands to your heart as you bow your head to your heart, to allow an intention to arise, perhaps from that wise, intelligent layer of your experience that can hold the bigger picture and the greater meaning. An intention that might guide you through the day to day, or that might even move beyond your time on the mat or in class. An intention that could be a simple word or a phrase. An intention that could simply be a symbol or an image or a felt sense, something nonverbal, transverbal perhaps. If something comes to mind, perhaps you choose to draw that intention deep into your heart, allowing it to reverberate through all of your layers of experience. And then perhaps you send that intention silently outward into the greater web of life, inviting it perhaps to reverberate outward. And whenever you feel ready to do so, you can release your hands if they were lifted. If you're lying on the earth, you might rise to a seat. If your eyes are closed, you might choose to open them. And if your gaze was lowered, you might choose to lift it. And welcome, everybody. Welcome to all who started out together, and welcome to those who have popped in during the opening centering. I invite you now to, if you've been on the floor with crossed legs, to shift the cross of your legs, maybe to shift what you were sitting on. We're going to add a little bit of movement here in a seated position on the floor. And so check in with yourself about how you might like to shift your seat to give your body a little bit of a change up. And if a seat is just not in the cards for you right now, you could also choose to stand. All right. So from here, let's just wake up our spine a little bit by creating some axial extension, inhaling and lifting the arms up. Maybe there's a pause in the breath that allows the rib basket to move away from the hips. And then the arms lower back down as you exhale. And just do this 3, 4, 5 times with your breath. And why am I saying 3, 4, 5? Because we all have different breath lengths, and so honor what is showing up for you. Moving from the inside out, you could even close your eyes here as you feel a lengthening through the spine, crown of the head perhaps reaching toward the sky, while the sits bones and the legs stay grounded and solid on the earth. And then at some point when your arms are lifted, keep them there. Check in with your shoulder girdle. And if it has somehow magically shrugged up around your ears, just allow a little bit of softness into the shoulder girdle so that the shoulders descend downward and have at their heart a bit of ease within the effort of holding the arms up. And then perhaps clasp the left wrist with the right hand if that serves you as you draw the arms toward the back body, so perhaps they reach past the head into the back plane of the body before you then with an exhalation move sideways to the right. With the inhalation, you'll come to center, the clasp of the wrist will change, the arms will still draw back behind you as you then exhale to the other side. And then move with your own breath here, just through a few lateral flexion movements. Well, flexion on one side of the spine, extension on the other. Letting yourself move here with the discernment of being present with whatever is unfolding. Even in your movements, the past, the present, and the future already come together. You've done these very familiar movements many, many, many times, perhaps thousands of times. Can you let this one be unique? Can you let this one reflect this present moment? This unique manifestation of your body, your breath, and your mind. If you started with me on the right, the next time you come to the left, let that be your last side bend. And when you arrive at center, you can either hold your arms up, shoulder girdle released, or you can bring the arms to the side, right away. If you are continuing to lift the arms, consider the possibility here of making some movements in the hands, perhaps opening the palm, the hand wide, fingers spread as you inhale, and then as you exhale, drawing the hands into a fist, alternating whether you have the thumb on the inside or the outside. You can do this, of course, with the arms by your side. There's nothing magical about holding them up other than creating a little bit of effort, but you could be out here. You could be here. You could experiment with all of those different positions. You could even have the forearms resting on your legs as you gently open and close your hands. And maybe marvel at how you can work at the edges here with lots of mobility. And how even just this little bit of movement in the fingers reverberates into your core. And how where you place the arms shifts your seat. Everything in your body is connected. Nothing happens independent of anything else. Not just because fascia is everywhere and connects everything, but because energy penetrates everything. The mind is involved in everything. Your awareness moves through everything and has the capacity to affect everything. And then from here, take a few arm circles. And then yogi's choice, as you circle the arms back here, notice if you can begin to bring a little bit of movement into the spine along with the arms so that you invite just a gentle sense of flexion and extension, perhaps. Again, we're just waking up the spine a little bit and tying it into this notion of connecting the past, the present, and the future. If you would like to get a little bit more creative, you could begin to find some very unique expressions of these arm circles, maybe letting the arms cross over in front of you, maybe really leaning forward or really leaning back. And maybe you even begin to create a little bit of rotational movement in the spine, either shifting from flexion and extension into rotation or into some combination of the two, finding those final movements of the spine, of turning side to side, very fluidly transitioning. Awakening your own body in your own way, finding your present expression of what your body needs, what reflects your vitality in this moment. Some of you may have the urge to move quickly, some of you may have the urge to move slowly. How can you honor your own energy here? Take another 10 or 15 seconds to creatively work with the parts of your body that can move easily while you're in a seat. Really pondering the beauty of this spine that you have that can move into this multitude of directions. And that you can deeply honor every morning with a practice that awakens the spine. And then let yourself come into some sense of stillness when you feel ready to do so. Perhaps once again finding a placement for the hands as you allow yourself to settle into this moment. Not that you ever left this moment, but really arriving here with awareness. As you then begin to prepare yourself in your mind for rising up to a standing position in your own way. So you could use your hands or not use your hands, yogi's choice. And you might want to have a couple of blocks handy at the top of the mat. We are not doing any fancy asana this morning. We're just working with very familiar movements and shapes so that you can simply begin to honor the present moment by seeing how you've done all of these things in the past, but how you can make them unique in this moment and perhaps transform them into something new. And when you've arrived standing and you have your blocks in front of you, we'll take a little bit of a flow, and I won't name it, but inhale and let the arms lift up. And then as you exhale, draw your fingertips into the hip creases and allow yourself to come forward into a half lift with the fingertips in the hip creases. And just be here for a moment in this beautiful 90-degree angle. Maybe pondering just the amazing capacity of your body to relocate itself in space. And maybe pondering how incredible it is that you can be here in this half lift, this very simple shape. This would not have been possible for you when you were first born, right? Your spine couldn't have handled this, your legs couldn't have handled this. So just marvel at how far you've come in your life to be here, holding yourself in this very simple position. As you then perhaps allow the hands to come to the blocks, maybe coming forward just a tiny bit more. And yogi's choice, you can stay here sort of somewhere in between a half lift and a forward fold, or if you would like, you could exhale your belly kind of empty, and then allow perhaps the knees to bend slightly as you bring the low belly closer to your thighs, maybe resting your torso on your thighs as you bow forward in surrender to this moment. Maybe the hands are on the blocks, maybe they're on the earth. Maybe the legs are bent, maybe the knees slowly begin to extend. It's morning for some of us. So honor what is present in your body now, not having the expectation that the knees be extended here. As you bow forward in surrender to the present moment. And then perhaps marvel that you can do some version of this forward fold, whatever your version is. Maybe it's the half lift. Hands on blocks, wherever you are, maybe the knees really bent and allowing yourself to feel the weight of your torso. Be here with yourself and marvel at what you can do. How the past has prepared you to be in this moment, and how in this moment you have a choice about how to show up with compassion for yourself. If your hands are on the blocks, you could keep them there. You could also choose to bend the knees more, to bring the hands to the earth. As you first step the right foot and then the left foot back, allowing your bum to lift up and back at a diagonal, and allowing your wrist to lift slightly away from the earth so that you're not collapsing the weight of your body into the small little bones in your wrist, but you're using your whole hand here to distribute your body weight across the forelimbs. Maybe your heels are on the earth, maybe your heels are floating, doesn't matter. Maybe your knees are bent or they're straight, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you work from the inside out with discernment about how you would like to embrace this particular shape this morning, based on all of your past experience, and yet profoundly adapted and honoring the present moment. From here, if you would like, you can bend your knees deeply and bring the knees almost to the ground, but not quite. And the shoulders come slightly forward so that you're sort of in a floating quadruped. And just notice how you are managing to hold your body here.
Perhaps you come to your forearms if your wrists aren't happy. You have your blocks. You could even bring the forearms to blocks. Can you sense into what is present in your body, your breath, and your mind to pick a shape here? This is a very familiar shape. We're just essentially in tabletop, we're just taking kind of a weird variation, but you get to make it unique to your own body. We forget sometimes that life is not actually prescriptive. And if we always embrace a yoga shape in the same way, then we only reinforce this notion that things have to stay the same. And so switch it up. And that said, let's switch it up. Maybe this time you bring your hands to blocks and you come back into your down dog, but this time with hands on blocks, just for something different. Let yourself experiment in the present moment. Don't make life so boring by always doing things the same way. Let it be different. Let it come from the inside out. Maybe close your eyes and be in this down dog in your own unique present moment way. That is health. That is mental health, being flexible, being able to change perspective, allowing yourself to be uniquely you, to be truthful, and yet also to pay attention to the bottom-up signals from your body of what serves you here. Where do you feel safe? What feels good? And whether you are in your down dog with hands on blocks or not, pivot forward to come into your version of what we might call a plank. But don't get an image in your mind of where you should land. Instead, really feel your way into what could be called a plank in your own way. And maybe if you happen to have your hands on blocks, you're in kind of a new expression of this plank. And so let yourself appreciate that. If you are on blocks and you would like to remove them, you have that choice. If you're on the earth and you would like to try the blocks, you could do that. If you'd like to be on the forearms, do you get the idea? The choice in every moment is yours. It may feel prescribed at times, but it really isn't. If you're not there already, you could bring the knees to the earth now. You might lay your feet flat on the ground. And find a different expression of this plank. Then if you would like, you could curl the feet under and return to your down dog, maybe this time without the blocks if you were on the blocks. And then from here, I invite you to experiment with lifting the right leg behind you, coming to the tippy toes on the left leg. The knee could be bent, and however you would like to transition, ultimately aim for that right foot to land inside your right hand. Maybe it's one giant step, maybe it's many small steps, maybe you call a cab, as one of my students used to say. And bring that right foot inside the right hand, maybe the right hand, the left hand are on blocks as you come into a bit of a lunge. But there is no weight in the hands. Can you hold your weight here by drawing the forward leg back, the back leg forward, and notice your inclination of how are you usually in a lunge, and is there a way that you can make it uniquely yours in this moment? Maybe ultimately you lift up into a warrior one lunge of your choice. The back knee could be on the ground, the back heel could be lowered. I don't recommend that you drop the heel and move the foot at 45 degrees in the back. Keep it a warrior lunge. And then notice how you might like to place your arms. Maybe the left hand floats to the left thigh as the right hand reaches up and overhead as you offer your heart to this moment.
Let yourself embrace this shape in your own way. Create your warrior. And then wait for an exhalation to lower yourself forward back into the lunge, perhaps hands on the floor, perhaps hands on blocks. Yogi's choice, you could even use a chair. And step back, maybe into a child, maybe into a tabletop, maybe into a down dog. Yogi's choice. Resist the urge to move out of habit. If you always move into a down dog here, because that's what you ought to do, see if you actually want to do that right now. And give yourself options. Give yourself choices. We are stuck with a lot of things. There are a lot of external factors we can't change. But what we can always do is meet them in our own unique way, so that we don't add unnecessary suffering to the challenges that life throws our way. If you are in child or tabletop, I invite you to come back into or toward some expression of down dog, and then perhaps to lift the left leg behind, come to the tippy toes on the right foot, ultimately aiming for that left foot to find the inside of the left hand, maybe with one big step, maybe with many little steps, or in some other way. Finding your lunge here, unweighting the hands right away. But you could have the blocks there for support, drawing the forward leg into the hip socket by drawing it back leg forward, to find strength side to side, allowing you to rise up and be strong in the world. Maybe the arms lift into some version of warrior one, lunge arms. And then ultimately, perhaps you find a peaceful warrior, right hand to right thigh, left arm up and overhead. Or maybe some other expression of this peaceful, strong, beautiful shape. And then whenever you are ready, perhaps both arms reach up and then dive forward as you breathe out, finding either the blocks or the floor. Returning to all four limbs, sharing the weight of the body. Wait for an exhalation to bring the knees to the ground if they're not already there. Find your way into rock. And take a moment to tune in. Re-meet your body. What are the sensations that are emerging from within your physical being now? Again, you don't have to go out seeking sensation. Simply let it come to you. And become familiar with your physical being in this moment. Perhaps notice how the breath is moving through you, through your body as well as your mind. Meeting your breath yet again. And then perhaps tuning into your mind state, your mind content. As you begin to notice that you've already changed, you've already transformed compared to just 40 minutes ago. Every moment brings a new experience in body, breath, and mind. Every moment informs that wise, intuitive intelligence that is so preciously ours. There is consistency and stability in our experience of ourself in day-to-day life. That's mental health. And yet there's also the capacity to notice that the self is really not definable as an entity, but that the self is a process, ever unfolding, ever changing, ever transforming, always responsive to the causes and conditions, to our inner and outer circumstances. We can meet ourselves anew in every single moment of our lives. That is our freedom. That is our choice. I invite you to sit for about 1.5 minutes in silence as you absorb the practice in body, breath, and mind, all released and surrendered to this present moment. And very gently begin to awaken your senses to your inner and outer world. Perhaps noticing the sounds around you, the texture of your clothing, the feeling of the air on your skin. Perhaps tune inward to notice whether you need a few little wiggles or stretches, or whether your body would like to remain in quietude. And allow your body to do what it needs to do. Take a moment to feel your breath very consciously, knowing that you're inhaling as air flows in, turns into breath as it enters your body, and knowing that you're exhaling as breath flows out, returning to air as it leaves your body. And then I invite you, if it feels appropriate for you, to bring your hands to your heart as you bow your head to your heart. To take a moment to tune in with your deeper intelligence, to see if there is something that you would like to take away from the practice so far today. Something new, something interesting, some remembrance, something important. And notice if that takeaway in some way relates to the intention that you had set for you personally at the beginning of the mat practice. And perhaps those two, that takeaway and that intention, can merge together to create a dedication of merit from your time on the mat. Something meaningful that you can seal into your own heart with your next breath in. And that you can perhaps silently share outward with the greater web of life with your next breath out. And thank you so much